All right, welcome back. I just recorded another update for this build, so you can go check that if you're interested in the progress. Ooh, we're pushing corruption 100 on a level 86, so I do die, but damage isn't the issue. Defense is the issue, and we're just kind of farming right now for a Flayer's Pride shield to continue to improve the build. Um, And yeah, I just wanted to have a little chat to you today about overall my thoughts on the game as someone who's worked in the industry and why I'm having so much fun. My background, I've played a lot of games, um, worked at Ubisoft across all their major titles, worked my way up to an analyst, and then moved on to other things. But my personal playtime is I've played thousands of hours of Diablo. Um, the games I've played most are probably thousands of hours of Diablo and Counter Strike, and I used to play a ton of Melee in high school. But I've played a lot of games. Let me just say, I played a lot of games, and yeah, I'm sure you guys are watching a lot of content on Last Epoch because it's really blowing up. It's really kind of filling this void um, that was left open when Diablo 4 kind of scammed us all and shat the bed and destroyed the entire franchise for a lot of people, to put it completely, uh, not bluntly, but just honestly and bluntly. Uh, so, what makes this fun? Why is this interesting? I think the number one thing I'm seeing personally is the fact that you can go to so many channels and people are doing their own thing and they're not following a guide and they're having success because they have previous experience. They're smart individuals, and the game gives you the mechanics um, to reward you for having, some thoughtful sessions about here's how the game works and here's what I'd like to do, and the game lets you execute if you put a little time in. I really love this monolith system. I mean, I feel spoiled coming from Diablo 2. I did play a little PoE and it just didn't click for me. I mean, I put all my time into one character, played it for a month and a half, and enjoyed it. It was kind of like a bleed ground slam, two-handed axe build, and it was cool. It looked cool. It felt cool, but even the thought of rolling a new character as someone newer to the game was so daunting, given that skill tree. And farming the gear was somewhat interesting. The maps were somewhat interesting. Um, the economy was nice. I did like the economy, but overall, it just felt like re-entering as a alt had a high barrier to entry. And in this game, I'm just so busy enjoying a single character that I haven't worried about the alt. And I know that when I play the alt, I'll be ready for it. But it's another thing too. I'm seeing a lot of people who are captivated by this project that they set themselves on, and they're invested in their alt and they're playing till very high levels. And this, type of feeling is hard to earn as a game developer. And I think they've done a great job. And I think they've really mastered the dopamine release that you get through items like the Weaver's Will, which just rolls random things. You don't have to go through the process of legendary potential, finding these items you want to, roll the dice and graft on, which is another great sort of lottery mechanic to keep you invested. The legendary potential and the exalted items, right? The exalted item itself, because of how you can craft and store affixes or use all of these runes to build items with the forging potential, makes it so that the exalted item itself can stand alone. It has that sort of dopamine release in the lottery element of you trying to get the perfect roll and build the perfect thing. But then you compare that with the legendary potential lottery. Lot of lotteries, right? There's a lot of room in this game for you to go, fuck yeah, like I got the thing I wanted, the perfect thing, and it was hard to do, and I did it. But there's also a lot of mechanics in the game to say, hey, I got a good enough piece of gear to continue progressing. And so it's a nice balance of feeling like you're never out of options to continue moving along. It's just farming for those perfect rolls to push harder and faster. But a lot of the time you can still push. You just got to put a little more time in. I'm rocking the Circle of Fortune. I think this is a genius mechanic for a solo player to be able to opt out of a marketplace and to have higher chances of building your gear through these mechanics. Uh, to me, this is really novel, and this really satisfies the need of a casual player versus a more hardcore player. I think from the get go, I would probably always recommend just going into the Circle of Fortune, building the gear to build the character to the point you're satisfied. And then if you're an auction house lover, switch over. And if you've got a gear set that's going to farm you through several hundred levels of corruption, go for it, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can start in the Merchants Guild, but I know they're ironing out a few kinks there. So for me, I'm happy to progress this first. I'm happy to collect these really incredible rewards for just playing the game. And that's another mechanic too. Again, another lottery mechanic. I think they've really nailed this. Going to get prophecies, getting lenses to manipulate the rolls, and then using those prophecies to farm up specific pieces of gear. I still need. I mean, this is a great pair of boots, and it rolled pretty well, but I still need some gloves with the bleed chance. There's two pairs of gloves I could get. There's a pair of boots that increases my bleed chance that I'm really looking for, and there's a shield I'm really looking for. Yeah, so I'm super satisfied. Respecking as well. If we come over here to respecking, it's so easy to respec. You have the accelerated gain for the majority of the levels once you spec out or completely opt out of a skill. The fact that it gives you skill points immediately and then ramps up the rate at which you gain them. And then you can actually go to the monolith and pick up tomes of experience, and it'll further increase the rate at which the skill level as well when you're respecking. So keep that in mind. That's really cool to me. That makes experimenting very easy, and it makes you think about it just enough to go, okay, I have to devote a little bit of time to these monoliths. So I'm not going to just do this whenever I feel like it. But you pretty much have that sensation. There's a very low barrier to respecking. And so if it doesn't work out, you haven't wasted a lot of time or resources, which is sort of the main thing with a respec in my mind. If you want people to get excited and to try new things. Um, so yeah, and then other things that I'm really enjoying about the game, the uniques are truly unique. I've seen a lot of pieces of gear that make me go, wow, if I was this archetype of player or even myself, and I find this piece of gear, I will make an alt just because I'm excited about the build, you know, and that's a very powerful thing. That works. That really works. Um, so I got to give them a lot of props there. I do have a couple pieces of feedback, and it's not really big stuff yet because I'm not really at end game. But like for a casual player to finish your monoliths, to be at the empowered monoliths, casual player, like a really casual player, not a diehard. I think ARPG and as a genre is a exception in that the average player probably logs a little more time on average into this genre. But if you look at traditional games, it's like a anywhere from maybe 10 to 60 hours, and like 60 hours is kind of like at the top end. Like something like Far Cry, for example. You play a game like that, kind of more story driven, and yeah, it's open world, but once the narrative's done, how much can you do other than make your own challenges and fun? You know, this is this game. I see myself playing a lot, and I see it being rewarding throughout. There's a good feedback loop. But I will say, uh, it's a cosmetic comment. I'm getting a little off track there, but um, you know, the developers have made a very good and engaging game, and they want and they will have lots of players that run these dungeons literally thousands of times. And to me, an aesthetic that is not often explored is just like, I think the most attractive cosmetic in the game right now is the backpack. I don't have the backpack, but the players who started early and received it, that's the most interesting cosmetic to me. All of these, you know, supporter packs, these big flashy things, those don't interest me. Those are, they're not gaudy. Like some of them are pretty nice, but they are loud, right? They really set a tone that defines a character with a certain aesthetic. And in a game where you are playing for, you know, hundreds or thousands of hours, when you're really invested and you're going through hundreds of thousands of dungeons, wow, I can't believe I didn't die there. You're going to change your mind about what your character wants to look like. And a piece like that is a very limited aesthetic. It's a very definitive aesthetic, and when you respec, it may not be relevant. The thing I like about the backpack and the sort of concept of the backpack is you're dungeoning. You are the grinder. You are embodying someone who is traveling through time and going into these spaces and just, you know, relentlessly clearing out these hordes. And carrying a backpack makes a lot of sense, man. You know, like aesthetically, you got all this loot. You you're an explorer. You got to get all this stuff, right? So I'd like to see more gear like that. More gear that sort of represents the nature of a real diehard dungeon crawler. Um, Satchels or other, you know, more traditional clothing, some classic, you know, maybe like Sherlock Holmes trench coats, or not the cap. We're not investigators, but just gear, adventuring gear in general, whatever you can produce along those lines, sets, etc. Um, Very sort of old school type of aesthetic, traditional D&D aesthetic. That I think resonates pretty well, and I think a lot of the demographic that plays an ARPG is a little older and really is involved with that kind of visual art style, or all old school art style, you know. So that's my only feedback, though. I mean, like, honestly, I'm really enjoying the game. I haven't found anything repetitive yet, but I'm fresh in the journey. So, uh, wow, these rewards are so much better. Holy shit! You go up 100 corruption, and I've got so many more opportunities to get good items. It's crazy. Just coming from zero or like 5 corruption to here, I'm really seeing what people are talking about. It's cool. Yeah, but that's pretty much my 2 cents right now. You know, any game, I guess, to make an analogy that's relevant right now. Uh, I still got to see Dune 2, but like the first Dune was a 3 hour movie that felt like an hour, and I could have watched another hour at the end of it. And I feel like this game is capturing that in the way it invests you in the fantasy. I'm level 86 out of 100. You know, Diablo 4 uh, died as soon as the campaign ended, maybe 10 hours after the campaign ended. The grind is terrible. The world is unengaging. The loops are not there. There is no lottery that engages you across a wide range of levels. You know, I can't find items for my low levels. I can't find and mash affixes like I can in this game. I can't tailor my experience. I don't have loops where if I can't get dopamine here, I can go over there and do it there, right? And so I just want to give them kudos for creating an experience like that. and creating a world. I mean, like, just walk to the edge of this map. Like, have you guys like really explored this place? You know, you run the monoliths so fast, you don't look out at just what's right there a lot of the time. It's beautiful. This concept is great. It's original. You're going through time and space and these other dimensions, and you're kind of in sort of a twilight zone. Um, so they've taken a lot of the best of a lot of existing ARPGs, and they've put a really unique spin on it, and they've created some really engaging fundamental game loops, and and they had a target audience. Going back to D4, they didn't. They said this is the game for everyone. That is the most bullshit proposition I have heard. There's no such thing as a game for everyone. You are making a game for a target market. You have to understand that target market. You do early market evaluation. That is literally step one, right? So to say you've made a Diablo game for everyone is to make a Diablo game for no one. And I think that's where that game is going, unfortunately. But this game knew who they were targeting, and they understood, and they observed previous successes. And they said, okay, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're improving on it. So, yeah, I'm very excited to continue playing and sharing this journey of the Falconer. I will check in with you guys once you start leaving comments. We'll start doing other types of content. Feel free to recommend games. If you've made it this far, let me know. I don't expect you to, but I would love it if you did. And yeah, I'm sincerely wishing you all the best, and we're going to keep at it. And take care. Have a good one.